Polito, Osio, Wingapa. Much experience to you and yours, love and dear. I thought about sharing this last book. I'm not going to go through all of them. That would be overkill. So uh, I thought about should I share about the book of Pope Benedict in his Ecclesiastics, and I said no, I'm not going to do that because people are priests, a priesthood unto themselves, which means we all are mystics. We all have common sense. We all know that neutrality equals passage through right and wrong. And I thought about opening the book of the Constitution for the United States from 1791. And then I said, no, I'm not going to do that because, again, every person has his own and has her own Constitution. And I thought about opening up the Black's Law Dictionary and going over, the different legalese and Latinese language in there. And that was a close one. But I'm not going to do that because we have a lot of scholars on different social mediums that's sharing that information, and they going very in depth into it. So this is a book in hardcover volume talking about the rights of every human and child. So we need to pay very close attention to what our rights are. And we shouldn't necessarily, prefacing by saying this, that we shouldn't necessarily let people who are of a different persuasion, whether that be in mannerism, color, appearance, we shouldn't necessarily let them dictate what our rights are, because every person is born, again, as a priest unto themselves. And if you believe in church and state, or if you believe in separation of church and state, those rights still exist. I can't force a person to eat a way that they do not want to eat. I can't force a person to not breathe or breathe. Again, those are God-given rights. Everything that we inherit is from the skies above, called the heavens. So here, this is the first article. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity, rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. So if we have brotherhood and we have spirit and we have one another, there should be no difference of opinion as to what is a right and what is not a right. If I have a right and you have a right, then we both are equal. That's called equity. If we don't have equity amongst each other, then we're not sharing. We're not breathing the same air. We have an advantage against one another. And again, if we have animosity in this manner, one of us is going to falter and the other is going to ultimately falter because, again, there's an inequity in sharing. So Article 2, everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. So again, you are entitled to your own language, your own religion, your own politic, your own sex, your own color, your own race, your own national and social origin. You have a right to own property. If you think a thought, that is yours, and no one can discriminate against you and your thoughts. You can't be called crazy, again, because there's karma in the universe, and if someone goes against this entitlement, they will be seeing that karma soon, whether that be in the here or the after. Eventually, they're going to see it because, again, a wayward person tends to do wayward things, and waywardness does not last long. in any dimension, because we have to live in truth in order to have harmony in this existence. So let's move on. Article 6. Everyone has the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law. So you can't have one person having something and the other person not having what this person has, in any degree and manner. If you have a person that is falling, I see this a lot. People like to, for example, people like to sell information. People like to sell, as we commonly hear, packages, or people like to sell something that they may know, and they try to make it seem like you can't necessarily get it unless you support them through a cash app or through some type of wiring of an asset. And again, if you see somebody that's stuck in a well, you're not going to charge them to, in order to get assistance to help them out of the well. Again, that's against the law of nature. If a cub is in a stress, his mother comes to his aid. All right. So Article 4, no one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Slavery and the slave trade shall be prohibited in all their forms. And again, we're in a day and age where all that we see is slavery. All right. In the form of peonage, in the form of the idea of taxation. There was a thing once called between Britain and its subjects called representation without taxation. So eventually, the people who are in power today, back then, they were trying to get from underneath the very people, us, who had them, or our cousins who had them in slavery. All right, let's move on. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile. So you can't necessarily take someone from their responsibilities, especially vulnerable people, like children. You can't remove them from their fathers. If you remove a child from his father or her father, they are automatically disabled. Whether you want to associate that with the stigma or not, it's the truth. Just as the mother give off chemicals to the child, the father do as well. You know, I've heard this before, where a studied person once said, and you have to do your research on this as well. If a daughter is raised around her father, she give off a scent. And, males pick up on this scent. It's not just about mannerisms. Everything again is biological, the chemistry itself. All right. Now, Article 12. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with his privacy. There we go with that word privacy. Meaning you just can't come along expecting someone to be in your likeness and they're not in your likeness, and you telling them that they have to do something at a command imperatively. You can't do that. You have to respect other people's privacy. All right. You can't be as they say in the heyday, you can't be catcalling, or you can't be trying to get some type of favoritism out of someone because you need them, and in a sense, in that matter, that you're really not needed, but you're expecting someone to give you something where it's not warranted. All right, so again, that falls into privacy. Then you have family, home, or correspondence, nor to attacks upon his honor and reputation. So respect people. You have the right to respect a person's reputation just as well as they do have to respect yours. All right. And what we're seeing now is we have a lot of dishonor among people in this world today. So we need to get that in order. Article 13, everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the border of each state. So that would be, America. America is one state that's kind of handicapped, not as much handicapped by, in large part, or measurement to the world, but just the mere fact that people have to have licenses to travel. They have to have what they call monies, which are really, in this day and age, IOUs. They have to have these things to get past tolls. The travel on highways, again, this is handicapping to people. You're not supposed to pay to travel. You're not supposed to have a license. All right. And if you don't believe me, if you were around during the Calvin Coolidge era, Woodrow Wilson, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Ulysses S. Grant, if you were around these eras, Thomas Jefferson, you would know, before the Trading of the Enemy Act, the idea of a license was not permitted. Okay, Article 15, everyone has the right to a nationality. So a nationality, you have a right to your father, you have a right to your mother, you have a right to longevity. This is something that Martin Luther King touched on. Longevity, you have a right to that. So only people who know what that means is people who've passed the degree of deaconship. The people who know that transhumanism is real, they also know that people can actually live longer than 200 years on this earth. If you don't believe me, just read up on the Aaronite, or Aaron, the person who took to fine silks. All right, so Article 17, everyone has the right to own property alone as well as in association with others. No one should be arbitrarily deprived of his property. All right, so you can't go around breaking stuff or, squatting on people's land, using people's resources without paying them. All right. I know a lot of people don't know what money is. They kind of look at, what they call the bag, Federal Reserve notes. No matter how many George Washingtons you get, Benjamin Franklin's, Thomas Jefferson's, that $2 bill. No matter how much of that you get, you can have gazillions of them. You can print them out. You'll never be rich. In fact, you'll only be perpetuating war because you will always have a bottom half of people who don't have enough. And again, if you have that instrument going around, that's not, you don't have a righteous economy where people have free passage to get what it is they need to form capitalism. You're going to go into what they call anarchy. If you have anarchy, you're going to have socialism. If you're going to have socialism, you're going to have beggars and you're going to have thieves. And again, there's no honor among thieves. Okay. Article 20. Everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. Okay. Now, this is something we don't see today. We don't see women and men together pushing strollers down the street. We don't see that. We don't see women doing that alone either. All right. Because, a lot of people I hear, they're afraid to be around sterileness where, there's a possibility of war breaking out. All right. Because we have tribes warring against each other. We have a Williams tribe warring against a Jones tribe. So this is where we're at in 2023. People are afraid of stray bullets. People are afraid of highwaymen, or what they call commercial mercenaries or cops, Roman soldiers, Coptics, riding around pulling people over and questioning them when they don't have the right to do that. Because again, that's Article 4 of the Constitution, where you have the right to be safe in your person. All right, so we have Article 21. Everyone has the right to take part in the government of his country directly or through freely chosen representatives. So when you see representatives get chosen into government and you didn't pick them, you should be given solace. You should be given entry to a refuge or peaceful assembly again. All right. So if you didn't vote for this person, you should not be held to, answer to their politics. There's always remedy and recourse in whatever you do. Just remember that. Article 28, everyone is entitled to a social and international order in which the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration can be fully realized. Again, that just goes off to what I just said. You have right and recourse in everything you do. All right, this is going to be short. And here we have a little bit of Spanish. All right. This is the same thing I just read, so I'm not going to read that. All right. Let's go back a bit. Okay, let's see here. Article 27. Everyone has the right freely to participate in the cultural life of the community, to enjoy the rights and to share in scientific advancement and its benefits. So again, science benefits everyone as a whole. All right. So you need to, have that study under your ropes and your belt. Because if you don't have science, then, you're going backwards. All right. So you want to continue to advance. Everyone has the right to protection of the moral and material interests resulting from any scientific, literary, or artistic production of which he is the author. So if you put something out into a public or private forum, either way, your fruit should bear, which means you shouldn't be overworked. You should get the results yield for what it is you do. Whatever endeavor you choose to go into as far as a career, whether that be teaching someone how to farm, whether that be to teach someone how to write within the goals or restraints in which that person wants to write. If that person wants to learn about musical notes, if that person wants to learn about mathematics and how that correlates with science, this person who's learning these things under your tutelage, not only should they wait, but they should be paid in advance. Even if they are young, they should see the fruit of their bearing. All right, so this will be the last portion. Start off where we began. Okay, this is the late part of the last part of the preamble. The General Assembly proclaims this Universal Declaration of Human Rights as a common standard of achievement for all peoples and all nations, to the end that every individual and every organ of society, keeping this declaration constantly in mind, shall strive by teaching and education to promote respect. You can't get far without respecting other humans for these rights and freedoms, and by progressive measures, national and international. Okay, so we have national correlating with international. You can't have one without the other. To secure their universal and effective recognition and observance, both among the peoples of the member states themselves and among the peoples of territories under their jurisdiction. All right, so we're under one sky, so we have to treat the sky well, because again, we fall under the sky's jurisdiction. All right. So even with us being territorial, as we see in America, where we have a lot of tribalism, a lot of warring, a lot of fighting and fighting among everyone in this sense, cousins, anything. All right. So in that progress, if you're in one state, you definitely don't want borders, because again, if you study producing at a fast rate, eventually you're gonna be a victim of retardation. So you don't want borders. You want free passage like it was before colonialism. All right. And even then, you have boundaries. But again, this is a science. You have to respect science. So this is coming from someone who's an oath keeper. This type of reading is only done by people who are in the know, who understands persons, people, the different ranks in life. So again, this is a good book to have. I didn't read everything that's in it, but this is something you want as far as like teaching all ages of people. Keep reminding them that they have rights and that they need to exercise them. If you don't exercise your rights, there's going to be someone over you who are bound or are likely, without question, they're going to take them. And they're going to give you back a license. And, when you convert a right into a license, that there is a privilege. So never let people tell you that you have a privilege. You always have a right. You can't license breathing. So you can take as many breaths as you want, and that goes along with having not having a license. Breathing and licensing of travel, again, it's the same understanding. So if you don't have the book, you can do a quick search online, get a printout or maybe a PDF to save to your phone, where you can read these every day. Read your rights. So you want to know your rights, and it says right here, no one shall be subjected to cruel, torture, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment. Meaning you're not supposed to suffer in silence. If you suffer in silence, you gotta make a move on it. Like, you can't just sit there and take abuse. Seek help. Make sure you have a support unit around you. Make sure that you receive the just that you deserve as a human. Again, this can come in the form of apology. This can come in the form of a settlement. This can come in the form of rescission. This can come in the form of all three and more. So just be very prone to that understanding. And on that note, I'll just end. Wapanaktal.